The warehouse is open. Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 31, another one of our collector profiles. And this one I've been looking forward to for a while. It's our friend, George Arbocus. George, welcome to the podcast. How are you, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. Great to be here. It's a true honor to be joining you, Scott, living legend. Uh,
Yeah, please. You sound like my kids who would never use that phrase, living legend. Not, dad, dork. Don't be
I got the check
cringy.
from your kids, so it's all good.
Thank you. It's appreciated. George is a longtime collector, very respected in the collecting world, and for again loads of reasons. And we'll get to the bottle service and the bottle collection and just sort of the communal because we may as well start there. I'm a beer guy. I'm a tequila guy. I will certainly share in my friends bourbon. Of course, love milkshakes, love to drink responsibly, and all that. George, from a bourbon and whiskey, just sort of that side, have you noticed a communal or community feeling that runs in parallel with the sweater world?
A little bit. There's a lot of dark uh, beverages that are drank at some of the expos. I know mine. We have like, a whole bottle share before. We started doing that also at MeiGray, Nova Expo as well. So it seems like it's more and more like like the darker type liquids.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, bourbon, whiskeys. So it does seem like a lot of the collectors enjoy that aspect.
But you can also replace it because I found this like with my first expo years ago. I was talking to guys about music or about baseball cards or about our kids' sports exploits or about, I'm a Philadelphian by birth. I remember us talking about the old Channel 48 or the old Channel 17, and that is certainly dating myself. But it's we bond over sweaters, but we also, when we go to these expos, or even if we just start striking up a conversation through social media, through DMs, through instant messenger, through email, you find that you have a decent chunk more in common than perhaps just our love of game worn fabric.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We talk about stuff we're bringing from a Jersey standpoint. Also, we start talking about I'm going to bring this bottle of this bottle of that. It definitely increases the camaraderie at the various expos, et cetera.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so we're talking to George Arbocus. It's Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 31. George, take me from the beginning. How did you get started in collecting game worn sweaters, sir?
So it actually started years ago. I was a Philadelphia Phantoms AHL team season ticket holder, and they used AHL. They still do, but they do a lot of like specialty game worn jerseys, and they auction them off usually at the game afterwards. So we were in the basement of the Philadelphia Spectrum. It was after a Philadelphia Phantoms game, and they had these special jerseys to honor Bobby Clark's junior team.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a young player called Ryan Parent who played for the Flyers. Supposed to be great. It ended up didn't really doing anything, but his jersey that he wore, I actually bid on and I won. $750, probably the worst $750 I ever spent, but it was
But
my
at the time, it was a good idea,
it
and
was
it
a
was
good
a
idea.
welcoming indoctrination into the hobby.
Exactly. So that kind of like started the burn, and after that things just went uphill or downhill, depends on how you look at it. But I no longer have that jersey. I sold it for a significant loss,
Mm-hmm.
which is all good. But you start with one, and you have to start with something. But it was a great jersey, um, and I was happy to buy it, and I thought it was a lot of money at that time. Now it's not that much.
No, understandable. So I'll dig a little deeper on the Ryan Parent sweater. You get that, you're like, hey, this is cool. This is cool. This isn't exactly what I want. There are a lot of collectors who would be like, I still have to hold on to it because it's my first. I would call that, the ability to make a decision to say, I'm going to pivot. There, I love this hobby, but I want to do something different. How quickly did you decide to do something different?
It wasn't that quick. I think when he got called up to the Flyers, I got his Flyers jersey.
Okay.
So I think that was my second. and then it was back to the Phantoms, another Phantom specialty jersey. So it was kind of like I started picking up maybe one or two each season. Nothing special, but it just started that way, and then I just continued just grabbing jerseys here or there. No rhyme or reason, no plan, no focus, and then everything just snowballed after there.
So when you're looking to purchase, and again, at the beginning, just like a lot of people, there's no real strategy. You want to feel, touch, obtain, network with, what have you. What 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 were you looking for back then? And are you still? And I know there, we'll get to the crux of the collection because you have a stunning collection with a prominent theme, let's just say. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Has your overall view of what you look for? Is it? I know the specific player answer, but were you always looking for where? Were you always looking for team only? Were you always looking for you fill in the blank?
So I've changed over the years as to what exactly I was looking for. As my collection kind of evolved, and I started off just picking out here or there. Then I had the great idea, brilliant idea of collecting one jersey from every team. And I actually got up to about 16 teams. And I thought, why am I doing this? I don't even know who some of these players are. So then I started focusing more on certain players. And that's where I started, collecting Claude Giroux and some guy named Recky, I believe, Rick Tocchet. So that's where my focus went to from there.
Were you a wear and tear guy, or we're just doing teams, and I don't care if it's got one slash or 100 slashes. I'm not looking for that yet.
Little of both, depending on which I was focusing on. So Recky was whatever it was. If it has, and a lot of his jerseys have a lot of wear on them. They have some repairs because he's always getting in the corners. Claude Giroux is hardly any marks on any of his jerseys. Obviously, Tocchet, again, a lot of wear on a lot of his jerseys. And then if there's some other like certain players that I just liked, I looked for ones with greater wear. Because obviously a lot of collectors focus on the wear. It's something really great to look at when you can really see how the player played, try to figure out what caused the tears or whatever. So that's where I am from that standpoint.
Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 31. Scott Linn with you, of course. Collector profile on our friend George Arbocus. He's been doing this for a little while. You mentioned two magic names, Recky, Tocchet, two guys with milestones. I'll get to that in a split second. But why Recky? Why Tocchet? Why the occasional or not so occasional Giroux?
I like their style. Tocchet, I think, is one of the, I shouldn't say underrated, but I mean, he should be in the Hall of Fame, my opinion anyway. From just what he did from a scoring standpoint, what he did from a fighting standpoint. I just liked his toughness, the way he played. Unfortunately, he's not that great of a coach, but, I just liked his style. Recky was all out, 125% every single game. Just the way he played. He would do whatever he had to do to win a game. So that's why he was one of my favorite players, as I started continuing my growth in hockey jerseys. So he's obviously my main focus, but it's just the way he played. No matter what team he was with, it didn't change his style. 125% every single game. So
is there, it's okay if you don't want to share, is there an updated count as to the Recky collection these days? How
32.
many do we have?
32.
32. And spanning all sorts of professional and minor and juniors and, the gamut.
Yeah, from his juniors all the way till his last team.
And you've
only missing two teams.
I was going to say, what is there a Recky White Whale? And then I'll ask you about your exposure to him. I know you've met him on occasion.
So there's two Recky White Whales, Atlanta Thrashers and Carolina Hurricanes. They're the two teams I do not have of his.
Do we know that they exist, George? Is the barn door open? A boy can dream. I'm certain. And again, these things always work out with. They start with a polite email. I'm here if you ever want to sell. Have a nice month.
They positively exist. I know where one is specifically, and it's been offered to me. So I just have to figure out how I want to get it.
Understood. Understood. Now back to the Mark question. You've rubbed you've shaken hands with this man on more than several
One
occasions.
time.
Just one time. I thought there was a couple. Does he know about your
Yes.
amazing collection, sir?
Yes, he
And
does. I have a few friends who are friends with him, and they've told him numerous times. Whenever I get a new jersey, my one friend texts him a picture of it, just so he's aware of it. But I introduced myself at the Recce Flyers retirement
mm-hmm.
I just had. That was the first time I ever met him, and I introduced myself. He's like, "I know who you are." I'm like, oh, "Okay."
And
I
then,
thought that was pretty cool.
but he didn't motion any sort of security team. I know who you are. Restraining order. Like there was nothing like that.
I get a lot of jokes about, does he have a restraining order against you and all this other stuff? But it's I have 32. Compared to some of
Right.
these guys, it's nothing in terms of player collections.
And he's a great player, George.
Yeah.
There's like you said. I mean, not the biggest guy in height and stature, but no matter where he played, he was always giving, as you pointed out, 125%. He was somebody who, when he was in Pittsburgh, wasn't my favorite player, but depending on where he was, there was no denying that he was going to be part of something successful, and you were going to get top-notch effort on a regular basis.
Absolutely, and that's the only downfall of having a player collection is that you have to have jerseys from teams you do not like. And I remember when I first got a Pittsburgh Penguins Recce jersey, it kind of like burned my hands. I couldn't look at it for a while, but now I have 6 of his Penguins jerseys. So
That's what I was going to ask. It's funny, and we've done now. This is our 31st Tales from the Warehouse. There have been folks who, yeah, I could never. I'll talk to them behind the scenes when we're doing our prep or what have you. I could never own Team X, but what's the proper word? Justification, something like that. When you talk to the collector, they're like, yeah, I know. I now he's I don't know, Washington Capital, but I do make an allowance and I do make an exception. And I want to go buy the ones or obtain the ones where he was before, even if I despise that team. We're an interesting lot to make the justification or just sort of, you got to talk yourself into it sometimes. But I know it's all. Go ahead, yeah. Tell me a story, George. I'm with you.
I've had to talk myself in numerous times too, especially the first one. First one was the worst to even consider owning a Penguins jersey. And then look at that, like Rick Tocchet as well. So he played for the Penguins.
Mm-hmm.
So jersey was available. I had to like convince myself again, but you do what you have to do.
All in the name of the collection.
Exactly.
George, if you had to choose your top 3 wish list, I like to call these, some radio stations refer to them as their desert island discs. We call them, your top 3 wish list of a game-worn sweater. Regardless if you already have the player, I know that obviously the Recce Thrashers and the Recce Hurricanes would be on that list. Is there a third or maybe even a fourth or fifth of George's, white whales, desert island jerseys that he would absolutely need to make him that much more happy?
Number 1 jersey is number 1 Bernie Parent.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my 1, 2, and 3 wish list of any jersey I could possibly have. And I was offered one recently. Unfortunately, a little out of my price range, but eventually I will have one.
And of course, the Hall of Fame goaltender, Boston, Toronto, Philadelphia, eye injury, 2 Stanley Cups, middle name Marcel, the goaltender of my youth, back-to-back Stanley Cups, just and an amazing ambassador as he continues on. He's one of
the nicest people in the world.
Yes, and again, I've seen photos of you with him on social media. I found out not too long ago. So I have a sophomore at Penn State, just finished up his 2nd year, and he texts me just randomly, "Hey, Dad, do you know who Bernie Parent is?" And I said, am I, where are the cameras? Is this, am I being punked? Is this some sort of a joke? And I texted him back and I said, yeah, Justin, of course I know who Bernie Perrant is. He said, his grandson is a friend of mine from another Penn State fraternity. And the kid was super humble, but it just kind of came up like, oh, who's your hockey team? And my kid is a massive Capitals fan. And the kid said, oh, I'm a Flyers fan. And they were just BSing back and forth. And he said, oh, why? And he said, well, I'm a Philly Jersey guy. And my grandfather used to play. And he's like, oh, who's your grandfather? And the kid said, Bernie Perrant. And Justin's like, I just don't know who he is. It was one of those head slapping, Beagle side head turn type moment where you're like, huh? Scooby Doo kind of thing.
But the kids nowadays, they don't recognize all the names but
I know we need more history. At any rate, we need to get you Perrant 1, Perrant 2, Perrant 3. Aside from the collections, Rick Tocchet, Flyers, and what have you, and being a respected member of the game-worn community, you do amazing work with the South Jersey Game-Worn Expo. And the 4th is coming up September 28th of this year. So right at the tail end of the summer, football season kicks in, and boom, the 4th will be held. Got all my info here. Riverwinds Community Center in West Deptford, New Jersey. George is your point man. The best part about this is, aside from the jerseys and the camaraderies, tables are almost up to 50. And I don't mean in cost. I mean about 50 tables for you to see amazing collections. Sale, trade, buy, show, what have you. It's the fact that you do really amazing work for charity and always benefiting somebody, benefiting the Philadelphia Flyers Warriors disabled veterans hockey team, and you have an ongoing relationship with them, George. Tell me how the relationship started, and then we can get into the expo and the labor of love that it's become.
Yeah, so the expo came about. It was right middle of COVID. Everybody was canceling everything. MeiGray canceled their expo, Nova got canceled, everything got canceled. But coming out of that, everybody was talking on all the different forums about getting back together. We want to do something. Everybody's very cautious about it. But someone suggested, like, why don't you do one in, Jersey area? I'm like, okay. So I started doing some homework. I talk a lot to Frank Rady, who does the Nova Expo. Gave me a lot of insight on that. Just started putting, pieces of the puzzle together, and had the first one. And I wanted to do something with it instead of just having an expo showing jerseys. I figured, make a little money for a charity. I was thinking of different charities, and then I'm like, why not do one hockey related? So hockey related and veteran related. Flyers Warriors seem like the perfect organization that I can benefit from the expo. So I contacted them, and they were more than ecstatic to be part of it. They've been coming every year. They have a table set up. They help sell tickets for door prizes. They have their own merchandise that they sell as well. And each year we've been upping the amount of money we made for them. So it seems to be progressing very well.
From version number 1 of the South Jersey Game-Worn Expo to now what will be version number 4, what have you noticed as far as the growth? And has it been I don't want to say a shock, but like, are you starting to go, this is good. We got a family here. We got I don't want to call it a product, because everybody who shows up, whether you have a table, don't have a table, just come through the door with a bag, without a bag, everybody's there to show love to the hobby and show love to the Warriors.
Yeah, I think it's grown a lot. Obviously, the more you have it, the more people talk on forums, etc. When they meet at other expos, they talk about the expo. So from that standpoint, more people know about it. I get other collectors from other areas in the country or out of the country, actually, that want to attend the expo. I've had people come in from Canada, from Germany to attend the expo. So from that standpoint, it's been growing and growing, and just the amount of people that just attend and don't even display, just to walk through, people that spend hours at the expo just talking to the various collectors. From that standpoint, has really grown as well.
And again, it'll be the 4th annual South Jersey Game-Worn Expo. Riverwinds Community Center, West Deptford in New Jersey, in South Jersey. And again, benefits the Philadelphia Flyers Warriors Disabled Veterans Hockey Team. Free admission. I know everybody's like, does it cost me to get in? But again, you can do donations and all that stuff, and it benefits a very, very worthy cause. Has it gotten easier through the years? You said, you know, obviously you talk to Frank, you talk to other people who run their own. Obviously, the good folks at MeiGray have one coming up, and it's July 13th. More details to come. We'll talk about that before the end of this episode. But has it gotten easier through the years, George? Or you're like, we still got to hit a couple curveballs, still got to iron stuff out?
Not even close. It's hard. Anybody that says it gets easier is lying. You know, you can ask Frank Rady as well. You know, you get help here and there. I mean, when we were down at Nova, you know, a lot of us helped Frank set up tables. But it's all when you're the one in charge, you know, you have to focus on things. You have to make sure everybody else is happy. You know, you don't worry about your own self. You know, you have to make sure all your guests are happy. Make sure all the collectors have what they need. They're in where they like to be. You know, certain collectors like to be in certain areas. So from that standpoint, you have to. It's a nonstop thing till the end of the day. This past year was the first year I really kind of like walked around a little bit more, and it was able to see the other collectors' displays, which is great because that's why we're all there to see, you know, everybody
Right.
else's collections.
Definitely so. And I mean, I remember we talked to Frank a couple of episodes ago, and you're really like the cruise director or the maitre d' at a restaurant where everybody's showing up, you know, they're bringing their own food, but and he does a great job. I have heard, and obviously I've chatted with you at numerous expos through the years, so I can tell that you are of the ilk where you are, as you said, more worried about making sure everybody else is comfortable and happy and wants to come back and support. And that speaks obviously volumes about the kind of person you are. But then you look at the fact that here we are going into year 4 of the South Jersey Game-Worn Expo, and the tables have grown to almost 50. That's impressive, Mr. Arbocus. It's no longer 10 in a narrow room with a sliding you know, the accordion door that has to shorten up the banquet space at your local community center or your local hotel. Now you can be in the you know, you're no longer at the kids' card table on Thanksgiving night.
Very true, very true. And it's we're at max now in the room. So if I want to expand anymore, it's going to be in a different venue. But right now we're going to stay where we are. Everybody loves where it is. The room is great. It's bright, high ceilings, etc. So it's a really good place. The collectors like it because it's easy in and out from a loading
Mm-hmm.
standpoint. Obviously, you know, you carry in all these jerseys, it's kind of heavy. So it's a good location. So hopefully we can stay there for a few more years anyway, as long as I keep going.
Make it a point to attend. Date again, September 28th, 2024. So it's upcoming, end of the summer. Make your fall travel plans. Riverwinds Community Center, West Deptford, New Jersey, for the 4th annual South Jersey Game-Worn Expo, benefiting the Flyers Warriors Disabled Veterans Hockey Team. Again, our guest today on Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 31, George Arbocus, a collector profile. George, we got a couple more questions for you, but while we're on the topic of expos, we got the MeiGray coming up. It is, again, July 13th, 2024 at the Raritan Valley Community College Conference Center. You can sign up for table space. Email your friend and mine, Stu Oxenhorn, at Oxenhorn. But you can jam it all together so it looks like socks and horn at MeiGray.com. One of the great emails in the history of emails. Table space will be limited, so contact Stu ASAP. More details to come. And if you haven't been to George's, go. And if you haven't been to the MeiGray, definitely go. And that one comes up on July 13th. Also, quick note about MeiGrayAuctions.com. Ending soon, depending on when you are listening. Check out the Lakers City Edition ongoing. LeBron, get it while you can. Obviously, he has some decisions to make with regard to his next. Got a player option. So there's LeBron available, and you should check it out. MeiGrayAuctions.com. Always amazing things. And the Lakers City Edition is some of that. George, you mentioned at the beginning of the pod, you know, when you started collecting, it was, okay, bought a Flyers, I bought a Phantoms, a Ryan Parent Phantoms, and then I kind of didn't really have rhyme, reason, or direction. Then I wanted to get something from every single team. Is there advice that you have for new collectors starting out in the hobby, sir?
Get what you like. Don't worry about what anybody else is collecting. Don't worry about, you don't have to spend $5,000 to get an amazing jersey. Um, when I walk around all the expos, and I love walking around the expos more than hosting one, um, I see some amazing jerseys. Um, and some of them are probably two, three, $400 jerseys, and they blow me out of the water. And then, right next to it could be an Alex Ovechkin, which we know what they cost with, no wear on it. I'm drawn more to that one. So whatever you want to collect, whatever you like, focus on that. You can have an amazing collection without spending tens of thousands of dollars. If you like it, that's what's important. You have to enjoy what you have in your collection.
The sweater will tell you the story. You will like the story, no matter price point, no matter where it was worn, no matter if it's a milestone or not. And if it has all of those things, if it's got a wear, if it's got weared, if it's got stitches, and if it's got slashes, and if it's got a milestone, that's awesome too. But every single sweater has a story. And it's a point of connection. It's a point of connection for you as somebody who walks past my table. You're like, hey, that's a really cool blank. But wow, this is neat. And I'm like, yeah, it's something modest that I picked up. And you're like, tell me about it. And those are the real points of connection that people offer from their collection at these expos.
Positively.
Definitely. So any wisdom, past, present, future about the hobby, be it new or be it old, sort of let's break out George's crystal ball before we get out of here today.
I don't know about crystal ball, crystal glass, maybe.
Crystal glass. Perfect.
No, it's just that the hobbies, it's in a strange place right now. Prices are up on a lot of our different markets. I think that you just again, go after what you like. No matter if people say, why are you collecting that? Why are you collecting that? Enjoy your collection. Don't be like one that just puts in the closet and let it sit. Go to these expos, take a couple jerseys to show people, but experience these expos. That's why we all collect these things, and it's not only seeing the jerseys, it's the camaraderie with the other collectors. I've developed a lot of friendships over the years, talking to different collectors, and now it's we talk more about other things than the jerseys at some of these expos. We all get together the night before or whatever, so it's just enjoy the hobby. Go out and meet these people, meet these guys, because they're really some really great human beings in our industry.
George, pleasure's mine today. We appreciate it. It's George Arbocus, Collector's Profile, Tales from the Warehouse, Volume 31. Again, quick reminders. 4th Annual South Jersey Game-Worn Expo upcoming 9/28/24 in West Deptford, New Jersey at the Riverwinds Community Center. Before that, it's the MeiGray Game-Worn Expo at the Raritan Valley Community College Conference Center. That one comes up 7/13, July 13th. Contact Stu. S. Oxenhorn, all one word, SOXENHORN at MeiGray.com. Stu will get you right. Table space is limited, but the tables are free. This is very, very cool for collectors and dealers alike. And of course, tick, 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 MeiGrayAuctions.com, Lakers City Edition auction, ongoing, depending on when you get this. For George, I'm Scott. Till next time, the warehouse is closed.